and your life intact, you moron. Just accept it, shake my hand, and go home. Your wife, Laura's waiting for you.
One more word, Sonny, and I swear I'm gonna bash your beak in. I risked my life more than once tonight. You know why?
No.
Oh.
Why?
Because we're a team. We have been a team for almost a decade. I don't care what Blood Boil says or whatever's on a goddamn piece of paper. We're the Chicken Police, Sonny. And we always will be.
I'm sorry. You're right.
We're gonna go to that insane asylum and wrap this shit up fast and clean.
God.
Yeah, just like you said, even if it kills us.
Thanks, Marty. Without you, I'd most likely already be sleeping the big sleep.
Birds of a feather flock together, right?
Like you say, partner.
Let's drop this before you start crying on me, okay?
Yeah, I hope not.
You almost just did.
Ah, cluck off, Marty.
That's the spirit, the Sonny I know and hate.
Well, let's call it the hospital then, the asylum then. Okay then. Let's talk to Marty.
What do you think,
then.
Marty?
What? You care what I think? You must have hit your head pretty bad.
Stop fooling around, Marty. I'm serious. So what do you think about everything?
Well, I think we're in deep shit. But to be honest, Ibn Wessler is in deeper shit.
Do you think he really murdered his brother? But why? And what does it have to do with Natasha and the threats?
Doesn't add up yet. Something's missing. Let's visit the institution and try to find out what we can about this Albert Wessler fella.
Exactly. If he's the dead body, we've got to know what the motive was. If we can't, and if he's still alive, we gotta ask him directly.
And what do you think, Sonny?
I think Ibn, Albert, and Natasha are the three key players in this case, and that all of it has something to do with the brothel.
And the fact that Natasha used to be a... courtesan?
He
Yeah,
says.
that too.
Listen, Sonny, about Molly.
Oh, just forget it, Marty, okay? She's not part of my life anymore. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Forget it. Let's concentrate on the case, and on making it out alive, and helping Natasha, too.
Whatever you say, Boss Bird. So you think Natasha's really in danger?
It could be, or she could even be behind everything.
No, you don't believe that.
I'm not sure what I believe, Marty. Let's see.
Look out.
Things got mixed up at the brothel.
But Ibn, because he's there. Yeah.
Natasha used to work there, that's obvious. And Ibn wanted to keep that a secret. A secret, it seems, somebody else had to pay for. Somebody died for that secret. Zip hid the body, but he kept the wristband. Who could it belong to? The dead body was almost certainly Albert Wessler, a resident of an insane asylum. But why did he have to die?
Yeah, that's a good question. Why he had to die? Let's try again. Okay. What the hell? Alright. There we go. No answer. Are you kidding me?
So what do you think happened to the corpse?
Probably been eaten. Horrible to think about, but even if half of what they say about the hive is true, starvation, riots, arson, predation.
You're telling me. Makes my feathers stand on end when I think about what goes on in there. And we pretend we don't know about it. As if Roachtown isn't even part of Clawville.
This won't end well. I'm afraid soon Clawville's gonna burn once again. And because of its own foolishness.
Well, that's if another meat war doesn't break out first. 'Cause then, the whole wilderness will burn.
Lovely prospect, eh?
Either way, it was a damn clever move for Wessler to hide the body in Roachtown.
It's the only place no one will ever find it.
Like the belly of a burning ship.
Oh, I think that was an intentional red herring.
Sounds about right.
Well, let's try again, damn it. No answer? Like, what the hell?
So where exactly is this place?
A few hours drive from here, in the middle of nowhere. It's a creepy old mansion, of course.
You think it's a good idea to go there? What if it's a trap?
I told you, you can still go back.
Oh, wouldn't you love that? No such luck, boss. If I get killed or locked up forever in an insane asylum, that's gonna be on you.
Thanks, pal. I deserve that.
Let's just call one more time. It's not been blah.
Hello.
Oh, hallelujah. Serious God.
Mental institution for ill and damaged minds. What can I do for you, sir? Or madam?
Well, I'd like to inquire about a patient who I believe is being treated at your institution. His name is Albert Wessler.
I'm sorry, sir, but I can't give out that information if you don't have the password given to relatives. Do you have that?
Unfortunately, I don't have that. I'm not a relative. I'm calling from the Clawville Police Department.
Oh, I see. In that case, officer, I'd advise you to visit our institution personally. Our director and I would be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you, miss. I guess I'll do that.
We'll welcome you with open arms, sir. Have yourself
Why
a
I'm getting the
beautiful
goosebumps
Oh,
about this.
thanks.
We welcome
Goodbye.
open arms.
soon.
So,
We have to go there.
the thought gives me goosebumps.
Chicken bumps aren't good enough for you?
Ha ha ha. So, I get the couch?
It'd be better if I called Lewis. He'll open up a room for you to sleep in.
Whew, great.
That was my lovely. Oh God.
I slept like I used to sleep years ago. Like a miner or a soldier. Empty, dead tired. Then I saw Tessa. My darling little daughter. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't recall her face. I reached out to her, but she just kept getting further and further away. Then I saw Molly. But she wasn't real. Just the ghost of a memory. I'm here, I cried. But all I heard was laughter. Not hers. Who's there? Suddenly, she appeared. Natasha. Just stood there laughing. But her eyes were cold. Then she said something. Painted red. Painted red.
Wait,
painted
what?
red. That was just a dream, Sonny. Nothing more. I looked at Marty and I saw the same thing in his eyes as he probably saw in mine. It's time to hit the brakes, to turn back, go home and forget about all of this. Of course, I stepped on the gas instead.
Why do I have a bad feeling about this?
Honestly, I wasn't expecting anything good, but this,
Ooh, it's just like a horror movie.
I was thinking the same.
Don't get to sit a
Appearances can be deceiving.
Let's hope so.
Oh God, what is that? Oh God, trophy. Oh God, did that move? I got a trophy out of the past.
This picture,
It's very...
special.
But I can't be
This
special. Look at
picture,
It's very...
special.
Not special, it's creepy. It's all colorful, but look at it. Oh God.
Even if you manage to escape, there's nothing but hills and forests for 100 miles.
Imagine how many poor lunatic ghosts must haunt those woods.
Ooh, Sonny, you're creeping me out.
Oh God, I hate looking.
This guy seems strangely familiar to me.
You don't say. You've been treated here too. That would explain a lot.
Oh, don't be stupid. I'm serious. Take a closer look.
No.
Well?
No, it can't be. Are you telling me it's him? M.B. Davis himself?
I'm sure of it, pal. It seems the gossip was true. The eternal king of jazz in a madhouse.
Oh, no. The poor devil. We should go to reception first. Let them know we're here.
Of all the great wild
Oh
ones,
God, the giraffe.
Greetings, miss.
is it really you?
Well, yes.
Yes, it really is you, the chicken police.
I'm afraid so.
Of all that's furry and plumey, that's fantastic. Oh my goodness.
Miss, we'd like to ask...
Please, don't be scared. I'm just really excited. You know, I've read every book about you and your adventures, and I even collected newspaper articles when I was a little girl.
Indeed.
You can't imagine what an honor it is to meet you in person.
We really...
Oh God, oh God, oh God. Take a deep breath, Miranda. Take a deep
Can
breath.
somebody get the giraffe?
Are you okay, miss?
Yes, I am. I just needed some air. So, dear detectives, Santino and
Number one
Martin,
fan.
what can I do for you?
Well, miss, we have some questions, if you don't mind.
I'd love to answer all of your questions, detectives.
I got a trophy.
Say, miss, what can you tell us about this place?
Our institution was standing even before the Great Meat War, and during the war, it was transformed into a military hospital. Since then, we're relentlessly working on treating injured minds under the leadership of Dr. Quetzal, the famous specialist.
The place seems pretty empty. Do many people work here?
We have 32 residents and
Oh, God.
7 nurses, including me. We also have a 3-person maintenance and cleaning staff and, of course, the heart and soul of our institution, Dr. Quetzal himself.
I see. Now, this Dr. Quetzal, is he the director here?
Exactly. Director, scientist, researcher, patron, and doctor. And even a
A
friend.
friend, huh?
Quite a guy.
He certainly is.
So who is this Dr. Quetzal exactly?
He's a world-famous
who is he?
researcher of the mind, Mr. Featherland. He published countless books in the fields of psychology and psychotherapy.
Psycho... what?
Unraveling the
Psychotherapy.
mind. It's the most crucial mission of the century, Mr. McChicken.
That's really good to know.
So this doctor's some celebrity, right? Does he usually meet other important persons?
I'm not sure I know what you mean.
Well, like Mr. Hobart Wessler, for example.
Ah, yes. That's something you should ask the doctor himself, but unfortunately, I don't think he has time right now.
He's swamped, is he?
Exactly, Mr. Featherland. He is very, very, very busy. All the time.
I thought so.
Oh, yeah. A strange
Now, what can you
wristband.
say about this, miss? Have you seen anything like it?
Of course. Our residents wear these for identification. But how did you come by it? They only wear them inside the institution.
Huh. I see.
The wristband does belong to one of our residents. But I'm afraid I'm not allowed to tell you more due to regulations.
Oh, come on, Miranda. It's us, the Chicken Police.
Oh, God, don't make him more nervous.
Sorry, I can't.
Miranda, this case is a matter of life and death. Lives are in your hands.
All right. All right. I'll do it. Albert Wessler. The patient's name is Albert Thaddeus Wessler.
Figures. Just as we thought.
Thank you, Miranda. We'll never forget this.
Please, don't make me blush. And don't tell anyone you heard it from me.
Well, we
Oh,
all
we
know
won't.
Marty is a charm with
promise.
words. Oh, God. There we go. Oh, God.
So when can we talk to Mr. Wessler?
I need to ask Dr. Quetzal. Please wait here.
Thank you.
We need to let them know we're here first.
Alright, let's...
How long was Albert a resident of the institution?
For quite some time, his first symptoms surfaced in his teens. Depression, panic attacks, and schizophrenia.
Was he brought here immediately after the first signs that something wasn't right?
You know, the biggest problem with an opinion on insanity is that animals are ashamed of it. That's the reason our institution stands out here in the middle of nowhere.
Because animals would rather hide what they're afraid to face.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
As far as I know, the Wessler family wasn't exceptionally wealthy.
Indeed, they were rather poor, but we offer our services gratis.
Then how do you sustain yourselves?
By
That's
the
a good
grace of the
question.
treasury of King Hector III, of course.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
My family and the royal dynasty had always been on good terms, Mr. Santino.
What kind of a place is this exactly? I assume it wasn't built as an insane asylum.
It used to be a mansion. Construction started during the occupation in 622. Then it stood empty for almost a century, until finally it went to the crown of Cloville when Hector's great-grandfather took the throne. The rest is history.
long have you been working here?
I've worked here for more than 30 years, but it's been in my family's possession for almost 150 years.
So if I count correctly, as soon as it went to the crown, it was seized by your family.
That's almost accurate, Mr. Featherland.
What a lovely inheritance.
Alright, we'll talk
Tell
about
me,
that
Doctor,
again.
do you know Madame Zavas?
Just like everybody else, I've heard of her, but I never had the pleasure of meeting her in person. I'm sure she's an interesting case.
Oh, you can be sure about that. I'd gladly get you two together if I had the chance. A spare cell would suit her very much.
Is that so?
As it turns out, she likes small, narrow, secret places.
Oh, I see. What a coincidence.
Okay. Oh, now we're going to the present.
Dr. Quetzal's a real mystery. But I can turn that to my advantage. I just need to focus on the strangest pieces of the puzzle.
So when did Albert become a resident of your institute?
So when did Albert become a resident of your institute?
Albert and Hobart, or Ibn as you call him, arrived here almost exactly 4 years ago.
Could you describe that day more specifically?
It was not long after New Year's Eve, maybe the first week of the year, if I'm not mistaken. It was sleeting that day. Wind was banging incessantly on the windows. The power was going out for short periods of time.
What was your first impression of them?
I already knew the Wessler name. I knew who they were. Or at least I knew one of them, Hobart Wessler. He was famous. Gangster, moneylender, celebrity, lover.
And Albert?
He was new to me, an invisible gray ghost. The family had tried to keep his existence a secret.
Why?
Because they were ashamed of him, of course, Mr. Featherland. That's how it usually is.
What was your first impression of him?
He was silent, but observed everything that surrounded him. His eyes were constantly moving, never stopped for a second.
Was he afraid?
I wouldn't say so.
Probably.
It seemed to me that he wanted to move into our institution voluntarily. It looked as if he couldn't wait to be here, alone, locked up in silence and darkness.
Didn't you think of that as unusual?
Of course I did. But who am I to judge? It was rather special treatment.
What kind of special treatment did Albert get? Tell me, did Ibn Wrestler threaten you in any way? That's not about him, this is about his
What kind of
brother.
special treatment did Albert get?
You know, if an institution like ours has to accept a Wessler as a guest, there's bound to be some favoritism.
And complete secrecy, I guess.
Yes, but that's the case for all our patients, Mr. Featherland.
Of course. So in what way did he receive more than the others?
Basically, we don't admit anyone into our institution without a complete and thorough prior assessment. In the case of Albert, we put that aside.
So you didn't even know if he had anything wrong with him?
Initially, no. He was more of a guest than a patient.
How did you see Albert when you first met? Do you think he was threatened to others? How did Albert relate to you?
How did you see Albert when you first met?
Albert was shy and reserved, like a ghost. He almost never touched anything. It was evident he was exceptionally intelligent. He measured and observed everything around him.
What else?
He was delicate and graceful, almost like a woman. Yes. He was rather feminine. He was an artist, Mr. Featherland, a magnificent painter, and rather good writer, too. Sometimes I even heard him sing.
Why did he have to be locked up?
I asked the same thing at first.
Are you telling me Albert has multiple personalities?
Are you telling me Albert had multiple personalities?
We found out very quickly that there was no other reason for the cause of his seizures. He had a cold and calculating personality who sometimes, especially on stormy days, took the reins over their shared mind.
He had these seizures from the beginning.
Yes, Mr. Featherland, but they started to intensify after Albert left our institution for the first time.
He did what? Left the institution? More
How
than
did
once?
he-
Oh,
Wait,
yes,
what? How
Mr.
did he ever
Featherland. Albert
came
left
back
the
and then come
institution on
went
several
off?
occasions until the last time, when he failed to come back.
Quetzal's not only very observant, but he's addicted to details. I must focus on that if I want to get closer to the truth. Focus. Addicted to details.
So Albert could just walk in and out? When and why did Albert leave the institution for the first time? You're keeping something from me, am I right? How can you leave?
When and why did Albert
my
leave the
question.
institution for the first time?
It was about 2 years ago. Mr. Hobart Wessler appeared and demanded we let his brother go free. Naturally, we obliged. We had no idea if we'd ever see him again.
But you did.
He returned the same day. Albert was ecstatic. He was unrestrained. I could almost say happy.
That was unusual for him.
I had never seen him like that before, Mr. Featherland. He just smiled and stared at the empty wall for hours.
Did he ever tell you what happened to him outside?
Of course he did. Albert and I had a good relationship. He was working on a painting for his brother.
Was it a painting of a lovely lady cat?
Oh, exactly. So you already knew about that.
Yes, Dr. Quetzal, I've seen it.
Albert left on many occasions to continue working on the painting. Did Albert tell you how he felt about the painting? Did Albert tell you about his relationship with his brother? Has Albert ever talked to you about Natasha? What kind of painting are we talking about?
Did Albert tell you how he felt about the painting?
From the first moment, he loved it. He was fascinated by it. But who could blame him? A little diversity, fresh air, a beautiful lady, and of course, on top of all that, he could finally do what he loved best: paint.
Which could be a surprisingly effective therapy.
It could have been. Unfortunately, these excursions have greatly intensified his seizures. They have become more frequent and extreme.
So Albert left on many occasions to continue working on the painting.
So Albert left on many occasions to continue working on the painting.
Exactly, Mr. Featherland. Every time he came back, he was like a different person. But unfortunately, his seizures also multiplied and became more dangerous.
More dangerous.
Albert was hurting himself. And on one occasion, he even tried to hurt me. It was unprecedented. It seemed his confined personality was taking over their shared mind entirely, piece by piece.
Do you think the painting caused it?
Not the painting, Mr. Featherland.
But its subject.
Exactly. He was obsessed. Right until that fateful day when he returned to us for the last time.
What exactly happened that day, Doctor?
It wasn't Hobart who brought his brother back that day, but two of his gorillas. Not literally, I mean. And Albert was in a terrible, terrible state.
What happened to him?
I don't like to talk about that, Mr. Featherland.
It could be vital to the case, Dr. Quetzal. Don't back down.
Oh, you're right. There's no use turning back now. So, Albert's tongue was torn out, or cut off, I don't know exactly. And he was blinded in one eye. Or rather, one of his eyes was missing entirely.
Oh my
So
God!
you're
what
saying
the-
Albert was brought back horribly mutilated?
Yes. And they didn't give any explanation as to what had happened. They simply told me it was some kind of accident.
Dr. Quetzal is cold and professional, but he's also very confused. Maybe it's cruel, but I must exploit his vulnerability if I want to learn everything about Albert. Focus, confused.
Yeah. The two fellas brought Albert back. Could you disguise them? You didn't believe Albert had an accident, is that right? Maybe it's not easy for you to talk about it, but did you examine the wounds? What? Three.
Maybe it's not easy for you to talk about it, but did you examine his wounds thoroughly?
I'm not that kind of doctor, Mr. Featherland. But even I could determine his tongue was either cut out or bitten off. And his eye was gouged out. He also had several broken bones.
But there's no doubt it wasn't an accident.
I don't believe it was, Mr. Featherland.
I totally agree.
Pull yourself together, Doctor. What was Albert's condition other than contract, Doctor? What do you think happened to Albert?
Concentrate, Doctor. What do you think happened to Albert?
I'm sure it was Hobart. He ordered his men to mutilate poor Albert.
But why would he do that?
Damn.
Maybe Albert saw something he could accidentally reveal.
To whom? The four walls? A couple of crazies? You?
To anyone, Mr. Featherland.
I don't think it's that simple, Doctor. But thank you for your honest opinion.
You're welcome, Detective.
What happened then? How did Albert disappear?
What happened then? How did Albert disappear?
A few weeks later, Hobart came to visit Albert one more time. Albert had been in terrible condition by then. We even had to transfer him to another cell, a more safe one.
What did Hobart do during the visit?
He didn't do anything. He just sat and watched his brother, who was in an almost vegetative state by then.
Couldn't you manage to draw anything out of him? You or Hobart?
Nothing. For a while, he was trying to signal something. Perhaps he was too afraid. And most likely his fingers had been broken too, so he couldn't even write.
Do you think Hobart could have killed Albert?
Well,
It's
that could be
horrible
50-50.
to say it, but I'm sure of it.
How did he disappear in the end? Did someone come for him?
That's what's most eerie about it all, Mr. Featherland. He simply disappeared. His door, which only I had a key for, was open.
Did anyone see anything?
No one. We interrogated the staff, even the patients. He simply vanished off the face of the wilderness. We don't know what happened to him.
Unfortunately, I have a hunch. Thank you, Doctor. You've been a great help.
Oh, well, I'm glad I could be of help. But please, I now must attend to my work.
We understand, Doctor.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's quite shocking information.
I think you understand why we kept it a secret. If it wasn't for Mr. Wessler's demand, we'd never let any of our patients walk freely outside our institution.
Then the accident happened.
Accident? Ha! We didn't believe it, not for a second. After Albert came back to us, horribly mutilated, he was different.
Different how?
If someone got one of his eyes poked out and his tongue torn out, he'd be different, but not like this. Albert was a different person.
We believe you, Doctor. So, can we take a look at Albert's cell?
I'd rather call it his room. Mr. Wessler lived in exceptional circumstances.
Thanks to the Wessler name, I guess.
Yes. Well, we try to make all of our patients stay as comfortable as possible, but Albert certainly enjoyed special favoritism.
I hope you don't mind if we take a look around in there.
That's
I don't
not
mind.
going to bother anyone.
Well, that's surprising.
Well,
I've
am
never
going
seen a
to
cell
stop
like this
right
before,
here
that's for sure.
and
I wouldn't
continue
mind
on
living
where
here
I left
myself.
off.
It seems that being a
Be sure
Wessler
to
gets
like,
you
comment,
privileges.
subscribe, and don't
And
forget
a
to
healthy
ring the
dose
bell
of
for
danger.
notifications
Mostly that,
for new
yeah.
videos.
Let's take a good look around.
Hope
I'm
you
sure
guys
we'll find
enjoyed
some
this
answers
video.
here. I
Thanks
can
for
almost
watching, and
smell
I'll see
them.
you guys next time.
Well,
This is
I
Anne,
smell
Girl, signing off.
paint.